I agree with you guys about that whole backdoor thing, because I'm a taxpayer as well, and I'm furious, and I don't know if I'll ever vote for another referendum. But anyway, how would you guys, 33C, be more fiscally responsible? Do you have any idea what you would do?
Start on that side, Julie.
Well, one thing I looked at today was per pupil expenditure. And New Lenox, for example, New Lenox School District 122 has not gone up or down in the last 5 years in terms of how much they're spending, not increasing proportionately to what they were always behind where the state was concerned. We went from, in 2010, being $1,000 less per pupil on average versus the state to $1,000 more per pupil on average in 5 years. I would really want to understand why that is. I would absolutely want to look at teacher-student ratios. I would want to look at our special education department and see are there costs that are unique to our district. That is there a reason? Is there something going on? It could be possible, like I mentioned before, if we have an outstanding special education reputation, people will move to Homer for that. So I certainly don't want to discourage that, but there are things that may not be as obvious as to why our expenditures are more than what they are. But I would certainly go through the budget like everybody else is. Are there things that are not necessary here? Are there ways to cut back costs? I really just think a fresh pair of eyes and looking carefully at the budget would be the first way.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
I agree. Looking at the budget to be fiscally responsible is important. As I said previously in my opening statement, the school board now is considering a finance committee to look at the budget, to have other members look at the budget, to go over every aspect of the budget. So I think that's important. We can always look at every aspect and see what can be done. As far as per pupil expenditure, we're about $12,500 per pupil expenditure on the Illinois report card. On the second page, you have instructional expenses, you have operational expenses, but those expenses are not, you don't add the operational and instructional. It is about $12,500. The AFR, the annual financial report, the auditor's report has it about $12,000, I think $300, I can't remember, somewhere in that ballpark. So as far as our per pupil expenditure, we're, about par with other districts.
Katie.
Yeah, I think we need to look at the budget. I like the idea of a finance committee. I think that's great. Have some people with experience in different aspects to look at it and tear it apart and see. I'm sure there are ways that we could possibly save money and get creative without putting the children's education at risk.
Yes, I think we look for redundancies. I think we look for ways to cut costs in terms of putting items out to bid, looking at different vendors, volunteering. What about maybe in the lunchroom, instead of having paid staff, we have volunteers in there. I think parents would love to come and work a lunchroom and see their kids during the day. Something like that. I think that we need to be creative, be innovative, and just think outside the box to help fund our schools and make our schools a better place for our kids.
Attending one of the meetings when they wanted to do the kindergarten, which I think is a great idea, by the way, full day kindergarten. They went over through. They asked for $550,000. Now this is going to wake everybody up here. By the end of the meeting, they got down to $300,000 without doing any studies, from 500 to 300. So they wanted to have a full-time janitor, they wanted another janitor because now the kids are going all day. Well, your janitor's there already. So after the end of the meeting, you go, oh yeah, we can get rid of the janitor. What's happening here is they're not looking at the monies they have. They're just saying, you know what, we can increase this levy, so let's just throw everything at it. We're all people that run a budget at home. You make so much money. You spend the money you have. If you want to go on credit card and debt, you're going to be in trouble. The school is no different. We did it as a village. We have no municipal tax. I left there with $6 million in the bank. You could do it in the school. You have to look at everything that they're doing. And everybody goes to the teachers. We're not saying that for the teachers to cut their salaries or anything. There's so many other areas in there that I'm sure there's waste. We have it in our homes today. Well, maybe we'll go out to dinner once a week instead of 5 days a week. And again, I'm not trying to simplify it, but they have to learn to spend what they have, and they can do it. And otherwise, Homer Glen is not going to be the community that we wanted it to be. We didn't intend this to go like this. The school, they're spending money more than they should ever be spending. It's destroying our real estate values. And as a board member, I'm going to look at everything. We want the best education for our students, but we don't want to burden our taxpayers to death. So we can do it if we have to.
Thank you. Any more questions?
Can I make a comment?
Wendy,
Can I make a comment?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to make a comment, just so you guys know, that in New Lenox, we made them live within their means, which means you tear apart a budget, you look at 70% of your budget is your personnel. The rest of it is things that you can look at and decide whether you need to have or not have. A lot of us looked at every line, going line by line to see where we could make cuts. When it comes to the levy issues, they bring up the budget. And our administration likes to say, approve the levy, we need the most. 4-3 we had voting in favor of going with the budget. I was one that didn't, because we saw cuts that still could have been made. After the levy was passed, $2.4 million came to us to say, we can cut this. And I said, and why wasn't this here before? And people look at us going, when we go line by line, going, it's necessary for anybody that's going to be on a school board to understand finances. You've got to understand where you can cut, what you can make to live within your means without stretching it and going to the max of the levy. Just wanted to say that. Thank you.
You're here.